right after Trump had an assassination attempt for the second time on his life, Hillary Clinton decided to go on MSNBC and start hating. Think about this for a minute before we view this. This is in real time. Hillary Clinton, right after she was hating yesterday in a pre-recorded conversation, she goes live on MSNBC in order to hate on Trump, not to offer any kind of consolement, not to have any kind of compassion, but to basically hate on him even more and talk about how mean and spiteful he is. Check it out.
Joining us now is Secretary Clinton, former Democratic presidential nominee, Secretary of State, U.S. Senator, First Lady. Her new book is called Something Lost, Something Gained, Reflections on Life, Love, and Liberty. It comes out tomorrow. I got halfway.
Is anybody buying this photoshopped book? Are you getting a Hillary Rodham Clinton book? Rita? Interesting.
Through my preview copy of the book and immediately ordered it for my mom and dad. Secretary Clinton, thank you so much for being here tonight. It's a real pleasure.
Rachel, it is always good to be with you. Thank you.
I am struck by the fact that as his campaign careens into very, very offensive territory, the association with Holocaust deniers and the outrages at Arlington National Cemetery, of all places, the insults to recipients of the Medal of Honor, the recent incredibly racist and dangerous lies about specific groups of immigrants, Haitian.
Before we get into this, because I always like to take sources or use sources from different people outside of Fox or anybody that's not just 100% conservative or Republican or whatever. Why do we always label something as racist just because we don't agree with it? If somebody says, oh man, it's a bunch of vagrant, my mom sounds like his mom. Shout out to my dog Lance Swain. It's a bunch of Haitian migrants. They are now 1/3 of the population in Springfield, Ohio, and we don't know how they got here. And they're over there. There have been reports of them taking geese and eating pets because their culture is completely different from our culture. Why do we then label that as racist? Everything that you don't agree with from a different demographic from you is automatically racist. I don't understand that. How do we get to the point to where everything is you hate another race because you call it for what it is?
In this case, and Venezuelans in the case of Colorado. I am struck by the fact that as much as we thought we might have been inoculated against sort of outrage tactics like that, where everything else gets thrown by the wayside and everybody starts responding to his outrage du jour, it's a way of sort of yanking everybody's chain. I sort of feel like we haven't learned. And is
this an interview or is this a monologue?
He's still being taught, especially by the media, that the more offensive he is, the more he can dominate the media space entirely. And I feel like you've been a good diagnoser of that, not only from when you were up against him, but from when others have done so. Do you have an antidote for that or a way that people can talk themselves out of taking that bait?
I'm not going to take advice from a loser. Don't y'all know that Hillary Clinton is a loser? Don't y'all know that Hillary Clinton is a loser? Hillary Clinton unsuccessfully, according to Wikipedia, unsuccessfully ran for president twice. In 2008, this is just for the people that's a little bit younger than me, and in 2016. Hillary Clinton is a career loser. Loser. Hillary Clinton lost in every part of life. The only thing that she won was a diversity, equity, and inclusion position as a result of taking that L from Obama. Obama and them felt so bad for her. They said, Michelle, we got to get Hillary a position and the administration and something significant. even though we know that she probably won't win in 2016, I will endorse her. And we have to give her a position. Now, I don't know what she's going to do with her laptop, and I don't know what she's going to do in her campaign. However, we have to get her a position inside of the administration because she did take a pretty savage beating in 2008. She took a pretty savage beating in 2008, Michelle. Hillary Clinton is a career loser, and she got her position as a result of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and they tried to do with her what they did with Kamala Harris, and it didn't work. It did not work. She even lost to Monica Lewinsky. All right, let's hear from the career loser.
I think that's really a critical question, and I think there's a couple of things going on here. You mentioned the press, and sadly, the press is still not able to cover Trump the way that they should. They careen from one outrage to the next. What was outrageous 3 days ago is no longer on the front pages, even though it threatens the physical safety of so many people, particularly, as you point out, immigrants that he and Vance have decided to demonize. And I don't understand why it's so difficult for the press to have a consistent narrative about how dangerous Trump is. The late, great journalist Harry Evans, one time said that, journalists should, really try to achieve objectivity. And by that, he said, I mean, they should cover the object. Well, the object in this case is Donald Trump. His demagoguery, his danger to our country and the world, and stick with it. They were merciless about what they saw as President Biden's, problem.
What is she saying? Does she have on a pantsuit? And why is her collars drunk? One of her collars is drunker than the other. Is that a silk pantsuit?
In the debate and calling for him to withdraw. I believe Donald Trump has disqualified himself over and over and over again to be a presidential candidate, let alone a president. The second thing, though, is that part of what Trump is counting on is for people to get desensitized. I mean, oh, my gosh, did you hear what he said yesterday? Did you hear who he attacked? Did you hear the viciousness? And it just like with a shrug, OK, fine, we're moving on. Well, Americans need to understand that they have to take Trump both seriously and literally. He has said what he wants to do. He and his allies with Project 2025.
Already discredited. We ain't even taking nothing that she's saying seriously. I'm taking zero of anything that Hillary Clinton is saying seriously. She got the same playbook and the same talking points as Tim Walz, as Kamala Harris. I don't even think Biden has even said anything about Project 2025. Shout out to Biden for wearing the Trump hat. We got to completely discount what this hag is saying altogether. She's a hack. A complete hack, 100%. And so as soon as they say something like that, we know that they disingenuous. We know that they lying. We know that they trying to play on people's emotions. And so everything that they say just goes out the window.
His desire to be a dictator, at least on day one, all of that is in the public record. And I believe that more Americans have to be, willing to endure what, frankly, is discomforting and to some extent kind of painful.
I wish some of these interviewers would actually just call him out on their BS, too.
To take him at his word and to be outraged by what he represents. And then finally, the hopeful side of this is that I do think more and more Americans are, rejecting the kind of chaos that he represents. We can't go back. That's what the Harris campaign says all the time. We're not going back. Yeah. We're not going back to, what he failed to do to protect American lives during COVID. We're not going back to the, romance with dictators that puts, innocent lives at risk and America's security in danger. We can't go back and give this very dangerous man another chance to do harm to our country and the world.
Maybe we should go back to more migrants crossing over into the border. Maybe we should continue to go forward with more wars. When did we become the world police? When did we become the world police? I'm going to be honest with you. Those people need to be able to manage their own countries. Those people need to be able to manage their own countries, their own people. When did we become the world police? It makes no sense to me. Maybe we should continue to go forward with horrible, and when I say horrible, I mean 100% horrible, horrible economic policy that continues to plunge us in inflationary and recessionary territory. Let me hear the rest of what this lady got to say, and then we're going to move over to the next thing.
Speaking of dictators, the Justice Department and the State Department have taken a number of actions in the past several weeks, striking actions to both call out and indict and take action against the Kremlin for their attempts at interfering in yet another presidential election cycle on Trump's behalf. The State Department has put out a $10 million reward for information leading to for information about people who are about entities that are trying to illegally interfere in our election. We've seen these dramatic indictments from the Justice Department, including for paying millions of dollars, the Kremlin paying millions of dollars to pro-Trump influencers. We've seen the Justice Department seize web domains where the Kremlin had set up news sites, what looked like news sites, looked like versions of American news sites, but were secretly operated by the Russian intelligence services or by the Russian government. Do you feel like the U.S. government is sort of starting to figure out how to do this and taking this seriously enough, or do you still think there's a far distance to go?
I think there's a far distance to go. I applaud the actions taken by the Justice Department and the State Department. I think that they're very important. But truly, we are just at the beginning of uncovering everything that Russia, but not just Russia, other countries have done and are doing to influence our election. If you focus on Russia,
the biggest election interference, get this lady off my screen. The biggest form of election interference is them trying to prosecute Donald Trump in order to prevent him from being able to run, so we couldn't choose him as our Republican candidate, and for them to trump up all of these charges in New York and Fulton County, and then they tried to do it in Florida, but they threw them out in Florida, and they threw them out in Fulton County. That's the biggest form of election interference. The fact that all of these migrants could continue to come over here, and they're getting driver's licenses and stuff now, endearing them now to the Democratic Party, which I believe is one of the reasons why they're being led over here in the first place. The biggest form of election interference is what we've been seeing over the last 3.5 years. That's just my opinion, though. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.